The history of the X Heroes goes way back to the times of good and evil. But unlike every other story, this story ends with the evil winning and the good having to fight back. Now, the main reason all of this happened was because of him. An evil dragon that wished to take over the universe. But not just any universe, all of the universes that exist in his timeline. But there was one problem. The universes are watched over by him, a man who calls himself the Supreme One. The Supreme One is not omnipotent. He's not even powerful. He's only as strong as his worshippers. But what makes him so strong is the fact that despite the mistakes he has made, maybe causing a few wars, there are still people who worship him because of his ability to fix everything he starts. But one fateful day, the Supreme One and the dragon would go into conflict because normally the Supreme One would just let him go free because everything he was doing was kind of not really that damaging to the universe. But when he came for a planet known as Astrea, well, let's just say he didn't take kindly to that because that was the kind of his favorite planet. Even though he tried, to his people, he tries to show that there was no favoritism. His favorite planet was Astrea because that is where he originated from and created a task force called X Heroes. So in that conflict, he would seal away this dragon and just disappear from the world as if nothing happened. But as you will see, now we go to maybe 200 years later. This man right here, the main character of our story, came and said, I want to explore a tomb in his mind one day. So he went to a tomb on Astrea, which happens to be the tomb that the dragon has been locked in for years, and it was told, no, people were told it was forbidden to go there, which he really didn't listen to that warning and did it anyway. He took one of his friends and they went into the tomb and discovered a coffin, or something that looks like a coffin, but it was much bigger. That is when they found this body. The body of a dragon with an X over his head. This dragon would ask this boy, "How did you unlock my seal?" The boy would say, "All I did was open open your coffin, open your bed, open your resting place." As he fixed himself. And this dragon would ask him, "I'll grant you one wish." And this wish would be a wish that would turn the modern world back into the battlefield of old. This boy wished for power because this boy happened to be a very bullied child, and he wanted the power to overcome his enemies. So he gave him that wish. But what he did not expect, but that this wish will also take away the little bit of kindness he had left in him. By being embedded with darkness, he gained a new body, a new form, muscles, strength, magic, everything. But but the thing is, he lost his sense of mind. And this boy here would create an army. Including, but not limited to, death itself, or a person through weird means or weird and odd means has would this person would basically just be called death because of their hobbies. But by being called death, they essentially became the embodiment, because the way the world works in Avastria is that if something is said enough, it will become true. And just like that, just like the old myths of Astrea where someone wished for something and it happened, it happened. He stated out loud, "If the world wishes me to be death, then I will become death." But this also came at a cost. During the day, he would be split between two. He would be his body would split between a man and a woman. Keep in mind this woman for later, because she plays a vital role in what would happen to the Supreme One coming back. And the difference between these two is the man embodied the pride and the ego of death itself, while she would just have the death part. She would actually have the ability to instantly take out anyone. And just as the Supreme One would have disappeared, he reappeared again in this timeline to fix it again. But what he did not know is that there was new dangers that he could not even face, aka the female version of death itself. So he used all his power to basically seal them away forever. So he thought all he really did, because the way they work is they can't really die or be sealed due to them having the affinities of darkness that no matter what curses come their way, they can just dodge them. So instead, this man would give up all his strength and shrink himself down back to a child. But he would eventually partially gain his powers back and become the sun. Not the sun as it's sun, but the sun as an son, as because he calls himself this because he is the son of mankind. Before he was a father of mankind, but due to his body proportions, he decided he would go ahead and become the son of mankind instead. He would turn the female into a Gorgon type beast. And he would turn the man into a shadow resembling the pride that he lost by losing his looks. But this is not the end story for the male. For the male hated his looks. So what he did was he came to his leader, which is this kid right here, and asked if he could borrow a body. What he meant by this is he wanted an artificial body he could attach himself to. But his leader, the kid, said no. Because he had potential, because with this new form, he didn't look as great as he thought anymore. But he could shapeshift. But this answer infuriated him. So he would cut alliances with him, with the kid, and go out in the world and attach himself to the first human he saw. This human would become the new personification of himself. Though the sacrifice he took by doing this was he lost his ability to shapeshift, but he had the ability now to take control of this body and anything that if any confrontation came down to who owned the body, he would always win because he had the neural link to this body that was way more powerful than the actual body's brain functions. And with him leaving, the kid had no choice but to find a new person to replace him. He found he aligned himself with one of his old friends from back before he was an evil. And well, let's just say he kind of, you know, since the death itself was kind of upset that now that his two links were in separate areas, instead of being able for him to become strong enough, he's not strong enough with them in two different rooms, basically, or at different spaces in time. So what he did was he essentially gave took the powers. He used the last bit of his existence that was in the ether, in the that was in the and that was in the air, because he left some of it just in case something happened, and he gave all the rest of his existence to this rock star. This rock star would become famous because he would use this power to become even greater, because he had the power to now hypnotize others. So even if people didn't like his music, because he was a failed rock star, he could just make people love his music. And so for being so loyal to his leader, he would get redesigned and remade into the leader's image, which is similar, but this version of him was way more wicked and way more disastrous to the world. On top of the fact he had death itself power and energy within him, and power contributed to him by the first wickedness, he became the second most strongest evil out there. And don't forget, the dragon still exists ever since he was resurrected. So, where has he been all this time in the story, you may ask? Well, what he's been doing is regaining his power in the background. And up to this point, well, he doesn't have a clue how he's going to get back all his power. All he knows is that one day, evil will come again. To where there's going to be so much evil that he can get all his power back and more all at once. So he sits and rests and goes back into his resting place until that day comes, leaving the kid he gave power to rule over the world for him until he can awaken into a more darker world and become ruler again. And that is where the prologue ends. For now, this narrator wants to tell you the stories of the people affected by this. What happened to Estrella? Where all this went, really? And why did the Son of Man, basically get his powers back after basically trying to seal away those two, the two sides of death itself? And that will be answered in the next part, whenever that comes out. But I really do mean it. This will be the end of, that's the end of this prologue. And I wanted to get this out before because I've been busy, but I will be trying to get out more the individual stories of these characters. And I really do hope you enjoyed my narration. It's not my best, and I'm mostly, for some of these characters, I just want to have fun with the story. It's gonna be that Code Geass story, okay? Like, it's gonna be everywhere, but at the end of it, it's gonna be some type of conclusion. With that being said, if you like the video, like, comment, or subscribe if you would like to do so. And have yourselves a wonderful day. Peace.